Shut up and sit down.
Girl, I want gin ramen so bad.
I know! I want the one with the sticker.
I want the sticker, but I like ramen, so like, in general.
I know, well yeah, I'm like, sure it tastes good too.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bias Effect Podcast. I am Nikki.
I am QJ.
And we are here today. We're gonna talk about the military. Before getting into K-pop, never really thought about the military once.
I mean, why would you?
Why would we? Yeah, there's, where we live, that's not, it is what it is. Some people join, some people don't.
It's optional.
Optional, very optional. Oh, cool. Korea? Right. It is mandatory for any able-bodied man to join the military for at least a minimum of a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought that a very interesting concept, and it affects the groups. Like, it affects the way the groups function, the way they put out stuff, the way they and I can't. Yeah, we'll talk about it too. But like, I can't even imagine growing up just knowing that you will have to serve in the military.
It seems like it's something that like K-pop fans have to like go through, I guess, if you will. Is that if you have a favorite group, your group will eventually have to go on hiatus to take service or enlist or whatever. And like for us, we are just like kind of starting our service eras for, like, obviously BTS is finishing theirs, but we are just new BTS. We're new army, so groups that we were into before BTS are just kind of starting or maybe hinting at starting. So we're just starting our enlistment era. We're just going through that for the first time, basically.
It's a wild concept to me, again, of just, like, this is just something they have to do. And again, like you say, now being from North America, we're like, okay, yeah, we have all these bands that we like, and they're just, going through their stuff. Maybe they go on a hiatus, like, way down the line because they don't like each other, or they want to do their own stuff or whatever. Never because, oh god, we're going to the military. But I have done some research into the history of why this is the way it is in Korea. Now, I will preface from the beginning, this is all from Wikipedia.
Cite your sources.
Yeah, they have all the resources there, but I took a deep dive and I was going at it for like 2-3 weeks. So I found a lot of interesting stuff, but it goes back too, so I just stick with me. Way back in like the 1800s.
Okay, we're really going back.
I said, hold on. Basically, Korea was, I think, known as Joseon, and it was like kind of like a state of China. But in the 1800s, Japan's also involved. Japan and Korea were isolationist states, so they didn't want to be involved with any other countries, really. But the U.S. came over to Japan in 1854, basically forced them to open up all their borders to the U.S. I say forced because, sure, they technically signed a treaty with Japan, but they used what's called gunboat diplomacy, where they basically rolled up on the seashore. We're like, are you sure you don't want to sign this? Are you sure? During that, Japan opened up its boundaries, blah, 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 blah. So Japan was like, why don't we do this to Korea? So okay. Japan went and did that with Korea, and then, which was a lot of back and forth between Japan and Korea. There's a lot of treaties in there, a lot. It all wraps up at some point that Japan annexed Korea, which means they kind of basically took over Korea, and they were just doing a lot of shitty stuff legally in Korea. So why that matters is that by the time the Second World War came around, Japan was technically in control of Korea. Therefore, Japan was on the bad side, the Axis of evil.
Oh god, yeah, that's true. From our point of view, it's the Axis of evil.
I mean, this was back then. All that to say, it was pretty fucked up too, obviously, but Japan was doing a lot of fucked up shit too with Korea. Like, when they originally took over Korea, they were trying to Japanize Korean people. So they were banning the names of Korean names, and they were took a lot of cultural artifacts from Japan, you know, all that classic colonization stuff. But anyway, so during the war, Korea was technically a part of Japan, but Korea was always trying to, like, not be a part of Japan.
Yeah.
So when the war ended, when Japan finally surrendered, Korea was liberated, but then immediately divided under the rule of the Soviet Union and the U.S. But at the time, the U.S. and the Soviet Union were relatively chill, quote unquote. They were part of the Allies. So they were like, yeah, let's just split up Korea. Then, so they were like, what it was called, Korea was placed under an international trustee until they could prove that they could self-rule.
Okay, sure. So
the U.S. proposed to divide North and South Korea between two occupation zones. The South was the U.S. and the North was the Soviet Union. This was supposed to only be temporary. Then, of course, the Soviet Union went how it went, and, like, the U.S. and the Soviet Union did not have a good relationship. Eventually, they couldn't come to an agreement, so in June 25th, 1950, North Korea started to invade South Korea. So the Soviet Union side started invading the South Korean U.S. side because they could not figure it out. So that's when the Korean War happened. It was 1950 to 1953. And it was the Soviet North Korean versus the U.S. South Korean. Lasted 3 years. So eventually there was an armistice signed on July 27th, 1953, which was supposed to ensure a complete cessation of hostilities and all acts of armed force in Korea until finding a peaceful settlement is achieved, which has never happened to this day so far. So basically, that's why there's the two different states. It was the world at the end of the Second World War, and so the North Korean side is, as we know, is a dictatorship communist state because of the influences from the Soviet Union. South Korean was on the U.S. side, so now they're their own country, of course, all that. But because of this, all this war tension between North and South Korea, they, a part of their constitution states that in Article 39, all citizens shall have the duty of national defense under the conditions as prescribed by the Act. Basically, any able-bodied man needs to provide service to their country in the form of military service because they need to defend their country in case North Korea ever decides to come back. Okay. And this was also held, it's been kind of going back and forth whether or not we should keep doing it, but in 2006, the Constitutional Court of Korea said, no, we should still do this. Okay. And there's a whole division. There's the Military Manpower Administration that literally just tracks all the male citizens and whether or not they've, like, done their service, basically. Yeah. Women are not required, but they can volunteer. And then the big thing is when you turn 18 in South Korea, you're listed as a first citizen, which means you're liable, but you're not yet required to do service. And then they go through a whole thing. So you're graded from 1 to 7, whether, like, what your state of activity is, basically. So if you're 1 to 3, you are fine to serve. If you're a 4, you're basically probably have some kind of minor disability. If you're a 5, you have more of a severe disability. 6, 7, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So kind of like what we saw with BTS is that all the members except for Suga were able to, like, probably they were designated to the 1 to 3 range, but Suga, because he had his shoulder surgery, he couldn't really do the full service. I think he was probably a category 4.
Yeah, he's doing, like, civilian duty or something like that.
There is a ton of other, like, aspects. Yeah, so if you join in the Army or the Marine, you only need to serve a year and a half, 18 months. If you're in the Navy, 20 months. Air Force, 21 months. Non-active duty, like Sugar. Like, Sugar is 21 months. Sugar is 21 months, and that's for, like, social work. And the definition of social work is you're working at community centers, government agency, public facilities.
Yeah, I heard something like you could work at, like, the post office and, like, random shit like that. Like, okay, so Yoongi's just sorting my mail. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I know. In this article or Wikipedia, it specifically said, like, public facilities, subway. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna work for the subway and that's my service, but it's always gonna be longer service. So that's all the different kinds of branches. There's a lot of other stuff I have here, but it's just basically, yeah, they classify you a certain way. You have to serve a certain amount. There's different ways you could serve, like we just talked about. So
I know that like some of the tea of it is that like if you serve Korea in a different culturally impactful way, you can get an exemption, which is why you see a lot of athletes getting exempt from service because they're serving their country differently, I guess, like going to the Olympics and winning medals and all this stuff. And there's like a little bit of discourse as to like, shouldn't some K-pop idols also receive that exemption because they are sort of serving, like in a way, they're serving their country by bringing like eyes and views and money. Like they're obviously like, as the classic example of BTS is like they're obviously bringing a ton of money to South Korea and a bunch of visibility to South Korea, like internationally, but the discourse is that they don't get that exemption.
yeah, so it's so technically there's under the grade 4 section, it talks about what you just talked about, where it mentions athletes if they, again, like kind of messed up though. It's like if you win a medal, then you're exempt. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, so not only just about winning a medal for your country, but it's like, oh, I might not have to serve in the military if I win a gold medal. Insane pressure, like not just that,
Yeah.
but yeah, so. Park Chung-hee, former president, introduced exemptions for athletes in 1973. After winning a gold medal in 1976 Summer Olympics, wrestler Yang Young-mo was granted the first exemption. So that was in 1973. And then in the 1980s, the president Chun Do-han promised exemptions for any athlete who won any medal of any kind, either in the 86 Asian Games or the 88 Summer Olympics. Again, like,
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
I mean, I do get that because it's like the whole point is just to like serve your country in some way, right? So like, yeah, why shouldn't they? But then on the other hand, like I did see a lot of people discussing it, and like if BTS had gotten an exemption, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have gone well. Like people would have been like kind of shitting on it, like why do they get to do that? Like I don't think it would have gone well for them. It's definitely better for their image for them to serve.
Yeah, there's a very intercultural aspect of it as well. It's like you say, like, yeah, sure, they could have easily gotten an exception, like, and have,
Like they could have set the precedent for that, like,
yeah,
but
yeah, culturally, probably would have gone well, because you see a lot of being like, well, why should they deserve it over either other idol groups, and it's just, also, it's just being a member of a Korean society. It's like, well,
yeah, it's like don't you want to do it? Like don't you want to serve?
yeah, there's that whole side of it too. It's kind of interesting though, also with this exemption, they still need to do their 4-week basic military though, if you're an athlete that wins a medal.
Well, just in case, what if you're really good? They don't want to pass you up.
I mean, you're an athlete. I mean,
what if you got really good marksmanship?
Yeah, and North Korea's going to come down.
Yeah, we might need you.
You've done your service. Exactly. And yeah, so they need to at least do that, and then they're automatically placed on a reserve roster. So technically they're still on a reserve.
Yeah.
And they're obligated to attend a few days of annual military training for 6 years. So it's like still intense.
Yeah, so like you're still
There's still something there for so
Yeah.
And then as of 2018, there's been 220 exemptions for our athletes. So not that much really over those amount of years. Also, there's exemptions available for classical musician and ballet performers to win first place in stipulated international level competitions. Okay, and then the one that applies the most to what we've been talking to is a 2-year extension for notable K-pop artists have been a law has been passed in December 2020 by the government. So basically, if you're a huge K-pop person, you can now join the military at 30 when the law is 28. You have to join by your 28. So apparently this law went into effect because of Jin specifically.
Okay.
Because he was about to turn 28 and they were like, we don't want him to leave yet. So they were like, add 2 years. So as BTS has had a huge impact, especially in the music industry. Yeah, okay. I get it, Wikipedia. I know. It is, like you said, contribute greatly to the spread of Korean culture and what's called the Hallyu wave, which I didn't know what that meant. Apparently it's just Hallyu wave means like Korean.
Yeah, I think I've seen the word before.
Yeah, it means like Korean influence elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Exceptions were in the talks for a few years for the whole group, as we discussed. Despite this, BTS record label Big Hit Music announced on October 17, 2022, that Jin withdrew his enlistment deferral request and will be the first in the group to join mandatory military service, while other members of BTS enlisted on a later date.
That's true, because he didn't actually wait until he was 30 to go. So even though they made that, he was like, no, I'll still go.
He's like, no, fuck y'all. But yeah, so the interesting tea there, I mean, I was trying to do a lot of research because my one friend told me a lot about how HYBE was like really trying to milk BTS. Of course, like we said, they were getting a lot of tourism, a lot of cultural influence for Korea. People were buying all this stuff. But apparently, yeah, there was some stuff where they were kind of like, no, fuck you. I'm going to join the military because...
Well, yeah, I was thinking about that because, like, Jungkook is about to finish, obviously, and he's 97, so he had a lot of time before he had to go, but he obviously chose to go early. I was thinking about that because, like, obviously we're getting into 17 now, and the 97s for 17 aren't even, it's not even, like, an announcement yet. So, like, he obviously opted to go, like, way earlier than he had to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if his other band members are going, like, obviously you want to try not to spread it out too much.
Yeah, so there's something there. I couldn't find a lot of concrete evidence, but I've heard a lot of whispers of like they were kind of giving the FU to, well, I don't want to say, but they were kind of like, no, we're just gonna go, okay? We're just gonna go. But yeah, similar to Stray Kids, Ben Chan and Felix are exempt because they were from another country, but Lino is almost 28, and but now he technically has till he's 30, so, but yeah, not even haven't heard anything about that yet. I mean, we'll talk about it, but the only other kind of like historical notes I had here was conscientious objection. Kind of a hard word to say. So like before no one could conscientiously object. Like they had to do it. Even if they were like, I don't want to fire a gun. I don't believe in that. They're like, I don't care. But then eventually only like so recently, in my opinion, in history, on June 28, 2018, they allowed it to happen, that you can conscientiously object. I'm like, that's a long ass time.
What does that mean though? Like, I don't want to go?
Oh, yeah, like you have to, conscientious objection is like you, for religious or political reasons, you will not serve. Like you just don't believe it's in your religious right to, like, I'm not going to kill.
I see.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that is. So, but they wouldn't even allow it until 2018. So it's like,
I don't think I could ever really see an idol actively going against it, 'cause I just feel like it's just bad for the image, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what it goes down to. Like even conscientious objection is
like all your fans or like the citizens would be like, what's your problem?
Yeah,
you hate us or something? For real. You don't want to serve? Think you're better than us just because you could sing a little tune?
No, it's true. It is looked down upon. Like I'll get to it later, but I have a section on draft evasions, and it's like, yeah, even if you do able to evade the draft, people are like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, in the community. It's kind of interesting.
I heard something about Psy, apparently, was accused of that at some point, and he ended up serving twice.
What?
Yeah,
he served
like
twice?
I think like maybe he served or something, and then people were like, oh, he didn't do it. I didn't really look it up, but then it seemed sort of like he was just like, fuck it, I'll do it again then. Like, that's kind of what it seemed
wild.
like. Yeah, that's so crazy though. Like but yeah, apparently
like,
he served 2
show
times.
your record. You're like, I did it.
Yeah, but he's just like, no, if you don't think I did it, I'll fucking do it again. I don't care. Gangnam style, bitch.
Yeah. So yeah, clearly, of course, people culturally do not like it doesn't look good to try to dodge the military. So according to a 2017 report by the Military Manpower Administration, I thought this was fascinating. But the most common evasion tactic... Okay, so basically, obviously, rich people, political people, they will try to evade them. Like, of course, like any rich person will try. Which is why it's interesting when you see K-pop people. They could do it. There's no... Like, they could pay their way, but they don't want to. Which, hey. But the most common evasion tactic, 37%, extreme weight loss or weight gain. gonna eat my way out of this. I can't do service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or this one,
Interesting.
23. Yeah, you're gonna like the last one I know. 23.7% is fabrication of mental illness. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I could see
classic.
where you could be like, sure. But the last one,
I'm crazy.
20. I'm crazy. 20.3% was deliberate full body tattoos. You're like, I get a full body tattoo. You can't put me in the military. See, you can't do it. I have.
How does that apply, though?
I know. Isn't that crazy? That's just a part. Apparently you can't. That's why I found that so fascinating.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because isn't Jungkook in the military right now? I mean, he doesn't have
I
a full
know.
body,
Well,
but he has a full arm. Clearly visible.
clearly visible.
I don't understand how that applies.
Okay, so I saw that and I did some research, and I guess tattooing. I didn't realize this. Like, we know there's the like taboo of tattoos still in South Korea, but it's actually illegal to get a tattoo by someone that isn't a medical professional. So isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
So I looked it up. So either I don't know if all the BTS members got their tattoos in the North America. I don't know where they got them, but there is a whole like underground thing.
Obviously.
But it's like it's kind of illegal. And I was just like, wow. I knew tattoos were taboo, but I didn't think it was like that taboo. And when I was doing my research too, it said that this is the only first world country that has a law like that. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so I found that interesting. So get a full body tattoo. Don't have to serve in the military. Sorry, guys.
But like you do.
I'm a rebel.
Like I don't understand. I just want to understand what do they classify as?
Exactly. I don't know, but it's the one of the most common evasion tactics. This is an interesting just story, but there was a very popular South Korean like idol back in the day. His name is Steve Jung-woo. Well, like he lives in America now. So.
Oh, okay.
Steve Jung-woo. He's an American, now he's an American singer, rapper, actor of South Korean origin. But anyway, he debuted in 97, and he was one of the most popular K-pop stars at the time when he debuted. And with the first 5 years of career, blah, blah, whatever, he sold a bunch of records. But his career ended in 2002, when he was accused of evading South Korean mandatory military service by becoming a U.S. citizen, and then he was banned from South Korea. He can never go back to South Korea now. Isn't that insane? Because he was like, I just couldn't get another citizenship. They're like, you're out. You're never coming back.
I guess like in the early days of people having like dual citizenship, it probably wasn't like as widely accepted.
Yeah, so then actually there's a whole section here about dual citizenship. So if you choose between, if you're half American, half Korean, let's say, you need to choose your citizenship by the time you're 18. You read that too?
I just heard that through Stray Kids. Like they had to choose that, like Australian or Korean, like Bang Chan and Felix. I heard that through them.
Yeah, so yes, they have to choose by the time they're 18. If they choose to revoke, they will not have to complete their service. So I guess that must mean Bang Chan and Felix chose to be Australian. And if they want to have both citizenships, they have to have an oath to not exert foreign nationality within 2 years after finishing their service. So I guess even if you revoke or you want both, you still have to serve in the Korean service, but you can't be like, Australia's sick for 2 years. But anyway, if they announce by their 18th year that if they announce that they don't want their South Korean citizenship, they won't be eligible to get a work visa until they're 40. Or clearly the F series. So I don't know if there's a special.
Yeah, like there's got to be something else because obviously they like these.
There's tons.
Yeah, there's idols that are not Korean who work there, like. Bang Chan and Felix and stuff. Like, obviously, they work for that company, so they must have a visa of some kind.
Yeah, but I thought that was like so interesting. Like, oh, you don't want to be South Korean?
I mean, yeah, there's got to be consequences to like choosing not to have that.
Yeah, and also I read a case too of someone that like lived in the U.S. his whole life, didn't realize he was like a dual citizenship, and then when he went to Korea, they're like, you have to serve service right now. Because he's like, you never revoked your service. Or
like, I didn't know.
He's like, I didn't know. Like. You're here, you gotta serve. He's like,
that's actually crazy.
Yeah, I was like, alrighty then. So
I didn't even know.
I know. So that's like, in a nutshell, kind of
some of
the
the
ins and
history.
outs. Yeah.
I mean, it is a fascinating like aspect of culture.
Yeah.
Like,
It's what I'm saying. Like it's a very, again, very different concept of
yeah.
how we grew
If
up,
you think
right?
about it from like a fan point of view, like we're just thinking like, oh no, they're gonna be gone for like a year and a half. What are we gonna do? But like, there's so much more like intricate like parts to it, choices that you have to make that affect your whole life, and it's kind of crazy.
And you have to put your whole life on hold. Like
Yeah.
like it that is what kind of blows my mind. And before getting into K-pop, like I would read a lot of like webtoons, and it was always be something in the plot of being like, oh yeah, like he left for his military service, like in like it was a whole plot point multiple times. So clearly, again, it's so
Yeah.
culturally ingrained, and it, again, for me, it's like the privilege of growing up in the country like we do. It's amazing because that's not something we ever had to think about growing up.
Yeah.
Is whether or not I have to. Oh yeah, when am I gonna pause my life to serve my country?
Yeah, and like as far as I know, like I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions and I'm sure there are different things that people do, but for as far as I know, like when you go to it, you like go to the like you live in like a military dorm. Like you literally are like leaving your life.
Yeah,
You're not even like going
yeah,
home at the end of the day or like hanging out with friends on the weekend. You're like in the military dorm for a year and a half. You take like your
yeah.
leave days, like your vacation days or whatever, where you do get to leave, but like it's literally like your life's on hold. Like I thought about that recently. I was seeing videos of Jungkook's dog like at like a daycare center, and I'm like, yeah, who's taking care of his dog? Like he can't even take his dog with him.
Exactly. Like stuff like, yeah, like truly putting your life on
Like you
hold.
can't
Yeah.
even just go home to your dog every night. Like,
No, or like, yeah, like you have cats, like you're just like, well,
and like how does it work if you're like married? Do you get to go home to your like wife? Or are you just like, see you later, girl?
like maybe, yeah, that'd be interesting to look
That's why I was
into.
like, there must be some kind of exceptions and stuff like that. Like if you're married with kids or whatever, maybe you get to live at home, but I
Well,
would
in theory,
hope.
you're supposed to be done by the time you're 28, so
You
maybe.
can get
And
married before that.
I know you can, but I'm saying that's probably, again, with all this, you probably either go to service young or
Yeah, you just try to get it
make
over with
certain life
first.
decisions. Yeah, because again, I've I know it's just like webtoons, but I've seen a lot of plot points like that being like, oh shit, I don't want to get in a relationship with this guy because he
Yeah.
hasn't done a service yet. Like that's a thing. Like that's, again, bonkers.
I guess yeah, that's true. Like from our point of like from a woman's point of view, you'd be like, "Have you done your service yet?" And if they say no, you're just like, "Well, okay." Like, would you
Yeah.
be less interested because you're like they're just gonna disappear for like a year and a half soon? Like, I don't want
I
to do
mean,
all
yeah,
that
or maybe some
business.
girls are into that too. I don't know. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
don't know.
Like, oh, it's like so romantic in a way. He's doing a
I'm gonna
service
wait for you.
now.
I'll wait for you.
I'll wait for you. Oh, write me letter. You know. So I
Yeah.
mean, it could be a whole thing. Interesting though, and
Hmm.
I think the haircut is a whole cultural thing too. Like we've seen it too with like Jungkook, for example. He's had the same hairstylist since he was like his sweet little baby, and there's a whole video when he got his first buzz cut. And
Yeah.
the guy, his whole hairdresser was so like emotional, but I'm like, I can't imagine. Like you're like, I've watched this kid grow up.
From an idol point of view, it's definitely like would be way more serious to get a cut like that because it's like they obviously put a lot of effort into styling and like looks and stuff like that, and like you're just fully fucking bald that you're like, okay, well, that's
I think
that.
it even on a non-idol perspective, like
Yeah.
it's a like I think a very visual and emotional symbol of this is happening. Like I'm
Yeah, it's like a
going to
moment.
service.
We're
Yeah, it's a
out.
moment.
We going. Yeah, I saw
We
like there
out.
was
Like
a video of Jin and Suga talking about right before he went to service, and Jin was like, "Do you want to cut my hair?" And Suga was like, "Absolutely not. No, I don't want to do that. I don't even want to
yeah.
see you with that haircut, let alone do it."
Exactly. Like look, say one day, your friend all of a sudden he has a buzz cut and you're like, "Oh my god, are you going to service now?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah." You're like, "What?" It's, and like I can't imagine being like parents too. You're like, "Oh yeah." Again, if they're
Yeah.
not like serving on the front lines of anything, but still, you can just,
But you don't really know, right? Like especially if you when you think about like the history of it, like you were saying, like the whole point of the conscription was based around North and South Korea fighting. Like those are two countries literally butt to butt. So like at any time it could pop
yeah,
off. So like you don't
yeah.
know. Like maybe it's not wartime now. Maybe no one's really talking about it, but you don't know. Like a year, and anything can happen in a year and a half.
True. Yeah, and again, and we don't like to get too political here, but there is a lot of stuff going on in the world, that could pop anything off at any moment. So yeah,
exactly.
anything. Like,
All of a sudden, we're in the middle of World War III, and fucking Jimin's pointing a gun at you.
Girl, I'd be like, take me out. No.
No, stop.
You know what I mean?
Stop.
No, I know, but like, I'm trying to make light of it because that's so messed up in my head.
I mean, yeah,
Again,
it's the only thing we can do is like make a joke about it because it's like that's so serious.
I can't imagine that. It's so serious. Like again, all these usually idols too. Like I would assume most of them are more on the sensitive artist side of things, right? To like go and be like, I'm going to go kill somebody.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah. That would blow my mind.
I also just feel like if I was on the opposite side and I was like coming up to the front lines and suddenly like I'm face to face with like I don't know.
Lino. Like
yeah, like I'm face to face with Lino and I'm like, I'm obviously not gonna fight you. Like obviously we are not gonna fight right now. Like on the opposite side I would be like, can I have your autograph? Can I get a quick picture? Can I grab a selfie real quick? Like
you're like, oh, you are the hottest soldier I've ever seen.
Yeah, I have never seen a soldier like that.
But it's a wild ride. But like, yeah. So right now, I think there's like we talked about a bit at the beginning. We are newer to this, but now we're fully in it. Like we're fully seeing this happen. One of the biggest ones for me, One Us, was my band that I found kind of by myself. We were chatting, we were joking one day. All of a sudden, you were like, he's in the military, CO.
I think we touched on it a little bit a couple episodes ago, but like, yeah, we just like randomly were like, man's been in service for like a month. At that point, he had been in for like a month, and we were like,
I was fully shocked. Like, again, I still don't think I fully understand it because I didn't see any like. Again, they're not a bigger band, so there just wasn't as much press about it. But yeah, all of a sudden, because they were still releasing content with them together.
They had a comeback, right?
Yeah, Dear M. I think he was still around for like Dear M comeback.
Yeah, but that had like just dropped like January or something, like a month before or whatever. Like True. It was pretty early before, and then suddenly he's gone.
That's right.
And then he's dropping a single, and we're like, what's going on with this guy?
And he's actually yesterday I was on YouTube. They dropped like another like One Us Do It, their like whatever show, and he's there still. I was like, oh my god, like I can't handle this. That's the stuff that hurts me is I see him and I'm like,
yeah, he
has a shaved head now. He's like in basic training and I'm like, what is this guy? And he's like this, breaks my heart a bit. And they're shooting like real contents on like whatever social media, and they put his little like stuffy representation, and that kills me. He's there, but he's not there. Oh!
I do love when groups do that though, where they like leave space for the person that's like not there. I'm like, yes, that makes me think that you guys like each other.
Yeah,
which I enjoy.
Oh, so that one really shook me because I wasn't expecting it. It will make sense. He's born in 96, so I think he is 28 then.
Yeah, it's like around that time.
Yeah, so he's got to do it. So.
And then the other one was The Boys also has a guy.
Yeah, the leader,
right?
Sangyeon.
Yeah,
so he's gone already. He, again, like the similar thing that we're noticing is they'll do the comebacks and then they're like, he's gone.
Oh yeah, one of them's out.
Yeah, but there's a bunch coming up too. Oh yeah, the funniest one when we were researching this to me was Woojin.
Oh yeah, we discovered that Woojin enlisted January of this year.
And we're like,
okay. But it made me think like it's crazy because if he had still been a part of Stray Kids group, then that means Stray Kids would have started their enlistment era now, which is like crazy to me because we haven't even really gotten any like mentions yet. Although I do think that they are slowly hinting at us that it might come soon.
I know.
Sooner than we think. Like, I can't really put my finger on it. There's just something about the vibe right now where I'm like, I think something's coming.
Yeah, so first off, the first kind of sign to me, was Hyunjin's buzz cut was like kind of, and like not only like, okay, yeah, sure, buzz cut, but then after that I've seen like posts of him like doing the military salute and like getting like doing nostalgic stuff, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
interesting choice. And he's getting really buff too. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I'm like, is he already in there? Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it
Like,
just it would be weird to me that he would like. It's such like a strong hint that maybe he would be going, but like he wouldn't be the first person. I like obviously we would think Lino and Changmin would be first because they're older.
but again, maybe it's like, yeah, he's just like, I need to get this over with, and I'm like. How I feel like I would be. Even if I was in, I would be like, get me at it, like, get me to do this now. Like, I would not like to sit and wait to do something like that. And then the other one was kind of like, no, I don't think so, but like, Han's like getting real thick too. I'm like, is this guy just getting
Yeah,
perfect?
I'm not getting that vibe from him though, like the military vibe.
Well, who else? What else is your?
I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't really know like what it is. I think maybe it's some of that like nostalgic content type things, and
Yeah,
I feel like they're as a group right now, they're very like sensitive. There's a lot of like sensitivity going on right now, even like with Bangchan and stuff, like things that maybe they would just like water off a duck's back in the past. Now they're like a
it's
little bit
true.
more sensitive about it, and it just like that coupled with some of that other like stuff you were saying about like Hyunjin and stuff. I'm like I just kind of wonder if they know something's coming and they're like, it's like a troubling time for them to think about.
I
Like I
mean,
don't know. There's just like a vibe there where I'm like I think something is coming. By the end of this year, I feel like something's gonna come.
yeah, I could see it for sure, especially after after
Like
they're
after
done
the
their
tour,
tour.
yeah.
Yeah, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think
Like,
so.
but yeah, but then so now we're also kind of just getting into 17, but now of course we're getting into 17, and like what, like two of the members are like,
Yeah, one guy went in November last year, and then one guy is already in actually. As of us recording this, he's already in, but definitely by the time this drops, he's already in.
yeah, Woo one.
Yeah, so Jonghyun is already in. Wonwoo is in now, and then there's some rumors about Woozi and Hashi maybe going this year.
That's insane. Like, that's so
I know
much.
it's like kind of fucked because we're like just getting into 17. And I'm
Just
like now half of
starting.
them
I
are
know.
gone.
I know.
I can't
It's gonna
enjoy it
be
as like a full group, full concept because it's like already started.
but I know. So yes, we got one us, the boys, 17.
I mean, on the upside, we got Kaya's back, and there's another guy in EXO
Yeah,
who
Sihan.
will be discharged later this year. I think by the
Yeah.
fall. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe by the end of
Mm-hmm.
this year we have an EXO comeback coming, and then obviously everybody's jazzed for the BTS comeback because they're all coming out in June. So there's still some positives to this whole thing.
That's the other side of it, though. I think that's another interesting conversation to have. Is the comeback is the amount of emotion I am already feeling for BTS, and
Yeah.
I am. Again, we both just kind of started on the BTS train. I'm getting emotional thinking about it right now because I'm like, seeing J-Hope and Jin together
Yeah.
was for J-Hope's comeback was like so sweet, and
I think there will be something very emotional about Jungkook and Jimin specific
mm,
because they are like the two, like they're younger and they're also like very like from the stuff I see from them, it seems like they don't really like solo. They like being like with their group. Like especially Jimin seems like somewhat lost without his group. So I feel like there's going to be something very emotional about like when that happens.
I was gonna say of the brief, like again, like you said, they it seems like they can get certain days off, and when Jin came back, they were all able to
Yeah,
get
they
their
were
day
all
off or
there.
whatever, and seeing Jimin reunite with them was like,
There's always such a heavy focus on that too, like that day when and
yeah,
he hugs like Taeyang and he like
yeah,
puts his like face in his chest. I was like, bro.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm supposed
But
to.
I was gonna say like I talked to my other friend a little bit about it too. I was like I am so overwhelmed about like J Hope right now and like the level of like excitement that she has as a long-standing BTS fan for them coming back. Is this how I feel about it? And I'm like I'm new. That's just like the vibe. Like that's just the vibe that it gives off. Is like to anybody, young, old, new, whatever. It's like it's just gonna be crazy.
The idea that Yoongi's the last out on my birthday, by the way, we'll just put that out there. on my birthday, the idea that they're all gonna be there when he gets out,
I know. I wonder what they're like. Part of me thinks that like there won't be anything
Stop
right
the
away.
show.
Yeah, I know. Cut the
tape.
tapes. I'm done. Part of me thinks that there won't be something right away.
Yeah.
I think it will
No.
be like maybe July, August before we actually see all 7 of them together. But then there's also like a part that's like, I don't know, maybe they will. Maybe like day of, they're gonna be like, guess what, bitches, we're back.
Yo, that'll be. That's
I know
so
they're
good.
not gonna do like a tour right away because obviously we know that like J-Hope's on tour right now and he's also doing Lollapalooza in I think it's in July or August, and Jin's gonna be doing a tour in May, June-ish, I think. So like obviously we know they're specifically as an OT7 are not gonna be like doing something right away. But there's gonna be like a crumb. There's gonna be like a picture or a video or
there's gonna be
something.
picture. Exactly. There's going to be pictures. So
And like I just
man,
know that first concert that they do, they're gonna be crying a lot. And like we're gonna see so many videos of them being back on stage together crying. There's gonna be so many of those videos.
I don't know how I'm going to handle fresh content because again,
I know. We don't get that.
no, I've never once had fresh except for like the J-Hope stuff, which is
Just the
like
solo
you said,
stuff, yeah.
been overwhelming seeing all of that. And them interacting with other groups, like I don't know what that's gonna be like either.
Yeah, that's gonna be really interesting because even though like some of these groups are older, like obviously like Stray Kids was around before they went into service, but like they weren't as like international as they are now. So like, are they gonna interact with Stray Kids? J-Hope's already interacting with ATs, so
yeah, like TXT 17. Like
I mean, there's gonna be so much TX, like there's gonna be so much Youngjun. Everyone loves Youngjun.
I know he's like
Everyone's obsessed
the
with
hot
him.
boy, the hot boy on town. I mean, I think
I mean, I feel like that was a good historical overview. Like the beginning stuff was very interesting to me. You know, I've always heard about like the Korean War, but I've never we're not American, so like I don't know anything about it. So actually, it was like kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, no, the Korean War specifically too, and we as Canadians were involved in it as well. We eventually did get involved. Interesting personal fact about me: my grandfather went to join the Air Force to be part of the Korean War, but he had too bad eyesight, so they didn't accept him. But he was gonna fight for the Korean War. So yeah, I mean, I knew that about my grandfather, but I never even ever really looked into the Korean War.
Yeah, like I just never really like thought about it before.
Yeah,
like much beyond that, it was a thing that happened.
It's a fascinating conversation. It's a lot of people criticize people for joining a conscription like service. You're like, okay, but like they don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, but you could say no to service. You're like, guys.
I mean, some cases you can't. Yeah.
You can't. Or you'll go to jail. So you're like, you're telling the people should go to jail. Like the privilege that comes from that statement.
Yeah.
Anyway. But it's so interesting learning about that. But we're getting through it.
A bit more of a serious episode.
Yeah, I mean we like to spit facts here.
We like history sometimes.
And it's a big part of it. There is a whole side of the cultural aspect.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like from our point of view, it's such like a part of like being a K-pop fan. You're like, I'm gonna have to go through this era of where my idol is gone.
And it's just not something that you would ever see with North America. Of course not. Like no one would normally volunteer to go join the army if they're a successful music artist.
Yeah, like if you have a successful career already, you wouldn't really put it on hold for something like that.
To go to the military. Yeah, exactly. And so it's a completely different thing, and we thought we wanted to talk about it, and so that's it. We talked about it. I hope you find it interesting like we did. And if you are a K-pop fan, I hope you're surviving any of your listments. And I think that wraps up the military service episode. So
thanks for joining us.
Catch you on the flip. Okay, bye.
Bye.